the revolution that is Silent Spring.
Rachel Carson had long known that scientists were divided on the issue of synthetic pesticides, and that conclusions about their safety depended on who was asked.
In 1939, the pesticide DDT was created to kill thousands of insects and unwanted crops. Later, the chemical became publicized and started showing side effects, like harming living things from exposure. In 1958, Rachel Carson began working on papers to expose DDT and its side effects. Rachel Carson's reaction to the chemical DDT caused a revolution and created the question why humans had the right to control nature, to decide who lives or dies, to poison or destroy non-human life. Rachel Carson's Silent Spring revolutionized global pesticide companies for DDT. Her reaction to the misuse of pesticides led to the reformation of environmental welfare and the outlaw of the pesticide DDT. On June 30th, 1947, in Time magazine, the first advertisement campaign for the chemical pesticide DDT was published. The advertisement states that the chemical helps make healthier and more comfortable homes, protects your family from dangerous insect pests. Some advertisements went even further and claimed it could be sprayed in children's hair to prevent lice. The chemical was so commercialized that wallpaper companies started to create wallpaper for kids' bedroom that was dipped in DDT to prevent any bed bugs or infestations. The chemical was cheap, very effective, sold almost anywhere, and quite convenient. To the general public, this seemed like a solution to all their problems with pests. The public did not see that underneath all these star qualities, DDT was a silent killer, and the effects of it would last much longer than expected. DDT was also used in chemical warfare in World War II. In August 1943, DDT began being used in the military. The United States Navy made their soldiers watch a documentary on DDT, showing how they were going to be using it for the chemical warfare. Rachel Carson was born in Springdale, Pennsylvania, May 27, 1907, to Robert Warren and Mary McLean. She grew up in the Great Depression, so money was tight for her family. Despite these challenges, she was the only child in her family to graduate from high school. Carson then went to seek higher education. In 1929, Rachel Carson graduated from Chapman University. Her need for knowledge was endless, graduating with another degree, this time getting her MA in zoology from Johns Hopkins in 1932. Rachel Carson worked on marine biology and scientific writing for the U.S. Bureau of Fisheries. While working for the Bureau, she started to research the chemical pesticide DDT. She became greatly involved in researching DDT and its lasting effects on the world around us. In her outrage of the under-researched chemical, Carson proposed a paper to Reader's Digest. It was unfortunately turned down. That did not stop Rachel Carson. She continued to research and write. In 1958, Rachel Carson got the letter that changed everything. Olga Huckins, who was in Cape Cod at the time, was researching large bird species. She became outraged when the bird she was examining died suddenly. The cause? DDT poisoning. Olga wrote to Carson in intense frustration over the fact that the chemical was promised to be a safe and weak pesticide when used in tandem with animals, plants, and humans. The fact was that the chemical pesticide was under research and had long-term effects that were not studied. When Rachel Carson got Olga's letter, she continued to put more time into her research. Rachel Carson composed a plan. She began standing up to small injustices involving the chemical. She got an article published by Reader's Digest removed because of the false claims on DDT. Carson began to write, and she did not stop for anything. Silent Spring began as a 3-part article in The New Yorker. On June 9, 1962, the first part of Silent Spring was published. It began as an article focusing on the injustices that DDT caused. Carson primarily wrote on the injustices that DDT was causing to the bird population and the environment. She backed up all of her claims with in-depth research on animal deaths, water quality, and the devastation on human life from spraying DDT in towns and communities. On June 16, 1962, the second part of Silent Spring was published. The second part of Silent Spring focused on real-life stories and the travesty DDT caused. She also wrote on how the pesticide companies were denying the truth that their under-researched chemical was causing mass destruction to the environment and the world around us. Part 3 of Silent Spring was published June 23, 1962. This article was different from the last 2 she published. This time, Rachel Carson called out the impacts that DDT would and will have on us. Us as the whole, the human race, would suffer from DDT spraying. She talked about the effect that DDT would have on our genetic makeup, as well as what DDT was causing. At this time, there was an increase in cancer diagnoses that was linked to DDT. The devastating news was that these diseases were especially high for children. She wrote to try and convince the public that this needed to stop. Writing for The New Yorker let her gain enough audience to make a message. The chemical was a travesty and was hurting the environment and everything around us. Then she asked the question, why humans had the right to control nature, to decide who lives or dies, to poison or destroy non-human life. After the mass conspiracy around her articles, she decided to combine all three parts and turn her writings into a book. Silent Spring was born, and the revolution has just begun. This was happening whether people liked it or not. Rachel Carson began the revolution, but others would carry it on. Many people jumped on the train and began to write about environmental injustices far beyond DDT. Carson became an important researcher and environmental activist. Although she's becoming sick at the time from a diagnosis of cancer herself, she continued to describe the impact of DDT. She appeared on CBS on April 3, 1963 for an hour-long episode where they talked about her book and the impact of DDT around us. Despite talking about dreadful topics such as children's deaths from cancer linked to DDT, she remained calm. This interview was trying to poke holes in her reasoning and research for Silent Spring. She remained calm, addressing why she was correct in saying that DDT was detrimental to our society. The reaction to Silent Spring was consequential, attracting many people's opinions. Some people took the book for what it was, a strongly worded warning. If the DDT spraying was to continue, these outcomes would be horrific. Others, on the other hand, took Rachel Carson's book as an attack on science. They were not only attacking the book and her reasoning why DDT was so detrimental, they were attacking Rachel Carson as a person. Robert White Stevens, a speaker for the chemical company producing DDT, made accusations addressing Rachel Carson, saying, "The major claims of Miss Rachel Carson's book, Silent Spring, are gross distortions of actual facts, completely unsupported by scientific experimental evidence, and the general practice experience in the field. If a man were to faithfully follow the teachings of Miss Carson, we would return to the dark ages and insects and the diseases, and the vermin would once again inherit the earth." After this, she remained calm, addressing the vulgar comment with understanding, as though someone did not just claim she was making up information. Again, the public disagreed with her. A review in Time said that she was hysterically over-empathetic, with a mystical attachment to the balance of nature. The cover of Farm Chemical magazine depicted Rachel Carson as a witch riding a broom. In this magazine, Dr. Robert McClaff, Vice Chancellor of the University of California at Riverside, asked whether we were going to progress logically and scientifically upward, or whether we were going to drift back to the Dark Ages, where witchcraft and witches reigned. He was saying that if we were to follow Rachel Carson's warnings about the detrimental impact of DDT, the technology for global pesticide companies would not progress. We would go back to medieval times and witchcraft. On the contrary, outdoorsmen and many people who spent a lot of time outside or dealing with farms and agriculture found that Rachel Carson's work was groundbreaking. She was a pioneer for women's studies in the environmental science industry. This book provided them answers for dried or poisoned rivers, poor air quality, and the recession of plant health. On August 29, 1962, President John F. Kennedy asked about the use of under-researched chemicals, referring to DDT in Silent Spring's claims. He responded saying he wanted the Department of Agriculture or the Public Health Service to take a closer look at this. In further examination, Rachel Carson was correct in saying that the pesticide crisis needed a reformation. In 1973, the Endangered Species Act was to be voted on by Congress. The vote was unanimous, and the act was to be passed. Congress said that the act, in contempt and effect, the most important piece of conservation legislation in the nation's history. Then, in 1962, legislation banned the use of DDT for pesticides. Then, in 1976, the Toxic Substance Control Act was to be passed. Rachel Carson was a pioneer in researching pesticides and continued to fight for justice despite the horrific reactions of the public. Many acts and laws came from Silent Spring after Rachel Carson's unfortunate death from cancer. She is an inspiration for researchers in environmental studies and proves that you can cause a revolution and continue to fight for reform to save the lives of many.